Did you know Elvis Presley was nearly electrocuted on stage during a rain-soaked performance, grabbing a live microphone while standing in a puddle? Or that he recorded one of his most critically acclaimed albums, From Elvis in Memphis, just months after a televised comeback, special revitalized a career many thought was fading. He also once paid $14,000 for a custom Cadillac, drove it a few blocks, and then gave it away to a complete stranger he saw admiring it. These glimpses show a life far more complex than the gold lame suits suggest, and his music catalog holds similar surprises, hiding incredible tracks often overshadowed by the monolithic hits. Many gems remain buried, waiting for rediscovery. Songs filled with raw emotion, experimental sounds, and stories that reveal different facets of the king. Number 7. Elvis got W-E-I-R-D with this psychedelic trip you've probably never heard. Picture this, it's 1968. The world is swirling in psychedelic colors. Rock music is getting heavier and stranger, and Elvis is still largely trapped, making travelogue movies with forgettable soundtracks. But even within those constraints, sometimes something truly bizarre slipped through. Enter Edge of Reality. This track wasn't just a slight departure. It was a full-blown dive into the weirdness of the era, tucked away in the already strange comedy film Live a Little, Love a Little. The movie itself featured Elvis as a photographer, juggling two demanding jobs, and an eccentric woman played by Mixelle Carey, who lives on the beach and sometimes thinks she's someone else entirely. It was a far cry from Blue Hawaii. The song fits the film's slightly off-kilter mood, but stands alone as one of the most musically adventurous recordings Elvis ever made for a movie. Forget gentle ballads or rockabilly shuffles. This is something else. The song opens with unsettling, discordant brass fanfare before dropping into a tense, almost paranoid verse. Elvis sings lines like, "I walk along a thin line, darling. Dark shadows follow me," with a seriousness that contrasts sharply with the often lighthearted fare of his soundtracks. The structure is unconventional, shifting tempo and mood unexpectedly. There are moments of swirling, almost carnival-like organ, fuzzy guitar lines, and dramatic orchestral swells that sound more like they belong in a psychological thriller than an Elvis movie. His vocal performance is equally committed, navigating the song's twists and turns with intensity. It builds to a frantic, almost desperate climax, where Elvis repeats the title phrase over increasingly chaotic instrumentation. Released as a single, it barely made a ripple, crawling to number 97 on the Billboard Hot 100 for a single week. Most radio stations likely didn't know what to make of it. It sounded nothing like the Elvis they were used to playing. Coming just before his massive '68 comeback, Special relaunched his image as a serious rock and roll performer. Edge of Reality offers a fascinating glimpse of Elvis experimenting, pushing the boundaries of what was expected from him even within the confines of Hollywood. It's a track that showcases a willingness to engage with contemporary sounds, even if the results were too strange for mainstream audiences at the time. Hearing it now, it feels less like a soundtrack anomaly and more like a bold, artistic choice, a hint of the creative restlessness simmering beneath the surface. It's a sonic detour that many fans, even devoted ones, might have completely missed, buried as it was in a B-movie context. The track was co-written by Bill Giant, Bernie Baum, and Florence Kay, a trio who penned many songs for Elvis's movies, but rarely anything this musically daring. The recording session itself must have been interesting, trying to capture this unusual blend of pop psychedelia and dramatic orchestration. It remains a testament to a moment when the king briefly stepped away from the predictable and wandered towards the stranger edges of the musical landscape. Number 6. The chilling story behind this Elvis funeral song will give you goosebumps. In January 1969, Elvis walked into American Sound Studio in Memphis, a place infused with soul and grit, miles away from the sterile recording environments of Hollywood it'd grown accustomed to. The song had been recorded by several country artists before Elvis, including Wynn Stewart and Glenn Campbell, but Elvis's version brought a depth and intensity that redefined it. Hearing him sing lines like, "Through the tinted glass window, I could see her there, a chauffeur lying dead behind the wheel," is genuinely chilling. It's a dark masterpiece, hidden in plain sight on one of his most celebrated albums, a stark reminder of his ability to connect with the deepest human emotions, even the devastating ones surrounding loss and broken dreams. It stands as powerful evidence of the artistic rebirth he experienced during those legendary Memphis sessions. Number 5. Bob Dylan, said Elvis, nailed this cover, but it was buried on a terrible soundtrack. Imagine being Bob Dylan in the mid-1960s. You're the voice of a generation redefining folk and rock music. Then you hear that Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll himself, has recorded one of your songs. Not just any song, but the beautiful, contemplative "Tomorrow is a Long Time." Dylan's reaction wasn't jealousy or dismissal. Reportedly, it was pure admiration. He later cited Elvis's version as his favorite cover of any of his songs. High praise indeed. Yet, despite this accolade from the jocuneur himself and the quality of the performance, Elvis's rendition was practically thrown away. It wasn't released as a single. It wasn't prominently featured on a studio album. Instead, it was relegated to the status of a bonus track on the soundtrack album for the 1966 film Spin Out. Spin Out was typical of Elvis's mid-60s movie output. A formulaic romantic comedy featuring car races, multiple love interests, and a batch of largely forgettable songs written specifically for the film. The inclusion of a thoughtful Bob Dylan folk ballad felt completely out of place amidst tunes like Smorgasbord and Adam and Evil. Elvis recorded "Tomorrow is a Long Time" during sessions in Nashville in May 1966. The arrangement is simple and effective, focusing on acoustic guitars, a gentle bass line, and subtle drumming, allowing Elvis's voice to take center stage. And what a vocal performance it is! He sings with a warmth, sincerity, and vulnerability that perfectly captures the song's melancholic longing. There's no rock and roll swagger here, just pure, heartfelt singing. He connects with the poetic lyrics. If today was not an endless highway, if tonight was not a crooked trail, if tomorrow wasn't such a long time, then lonesome would mean nothing to you at all, in a way that suggests a deep understanding of the material. It feels personal. Why was such a beautiful recording buried? It likely came down to the demands of the Hollywood machine. RCA Records and Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, were focused on fulfilling movie contracts and churning out soundtracks. A sensitive folk ballad didn't fit the formula for a hit single in their eyes, nor did it align with the light-hearted tone of the movie it was attached to. So it became filler, an afterthought on an album few people bought for its artistic merit. Fans who did pick up the Spin Out soundtrack often singled out "Tomorrow is a Long Time" as the clear highlight, a moment of genuine artistry shining through the mediocrity. Over the years, its reputation has grown, recognized by critics and fans as one of Elvis's finest vocal performances and a testament to his interpretive gifts. He could take a song from a completely different genre, by an artist considered the antithesis of Elvis's pop stardom, and make it entirely his own while respecting the original's integrity. Hearing this track today, knowing its origins and Dylan's praise makes its initial burial seem almost criminal. It's a hidden treasure that proves Elvis's musical depth went far beyond rockabilly and ballads, even during the low point of his movie years. Number 4. Elvis unleashed his inner soul man on this overlooked gem. When people think of Elvis in the late 1960s and early 1970s, they often picture the white jumpsuit, the Vegas stage, and perhaps the soulful intensity of hits recorded during his 1969 Memphis sessions. Tracks like Suspicious Minds or In the Ghetto showcased a renewed vocal power and connection to contemporary soul and R&B sounds. But digging deeper into those same Memphis sessions reveals other incredible performances drenched in soul that didn't get the same spotlight. One prime example is Elvis's electrifying take on Any Day Now. Originally a hit for soul singer Chuck Jackson in 1962, Any Day Now was written by two giants of American popular song, Burt Bacharach and Bob Hilliard. It's a sophisticated piece of songwriting blending pop structure with gospel and soul flourishes, telling a story of impending heartbreak. Elvis tackled the song during those fruitful sessions at American Sound Studio. He was surrounded by the studio's legendary house band, the Memphis Boys musicians, steeped in soul, R&B, and country, creating a potent musical environment. Elvis clearly thrived in this atmosphere. His version of Any Day Now is a powerhouse performance. He attacks the song with incredible vocal range and emotional intensity. He nails the verse's vulnerability, pleading with his lover not to leave. But it's on the soaring chorus, Any day now I will hear you say goodbye, my love, and you'll be on your way, that he truly lets loose. His voice climbs effortlessly, filled with passion and desperation. The Memphis Boys provide stellar backing, with Reggie Young's distinctive guitar licks, soulful organ fills from Bobby Emmons, and a driving rhythm section anchored by Gene Chrisman's drums and Tommy Cogbill or Mike Leach on bass. The subtle horn arrangement adds another layer of soulful color. It's a performance that drips with the authentic Memphis sound that producer Chip's Moman cultivated at American Sound. Despite the undeniable quality of the recording and the pedigree of the song, Any Day Now was included as an album track on From Elvis in Memphis. It wasn't selected as a single, losing out to the undeniable smashes like Suspicious Minds. While the album itself was a huge success, Any Day Now tends to be overshadowed by the bigger hits and critically lauded tracks like Long Black Limousine. Yet it stands as a perfect example of how fully Elvis embraced the soul genre during this period. It wasn't just imitation. He sang it with conviction and made the song his own. It sank as his vocal maturity and his ability to convey complex emotions, the fear, the denial, the resignation of knowing love is about to end. For listeners wanting to explore the depth of Elvis's soul influences beyond the radio staples, Any Day Now is essential. It's a dynamic, passionate performance that captures the magic of those 1969 Memphis sessions and proves Elvis could stand alongside the great soul singers of the era. It's a gem hidden on an album full of treasures, waiting to be appreciated for its raw power and sophisticated delivery. Number 3. This Elvis tune could have been HUG, but a sound-alike stole its thunder. Sometimes, timing and record company decisions can make all the difference between a massive hit and a footnote. Elvis Presley experienced this firsthand with the song Suspicion. Written by the legendary songwriting duo Doc Pomus and Mort Schumann, the team behind hits like Save the Last Dance for Me, Viva Las Vegas, and Marie's The Name. His latest flame, Suspicion, was a perfectly crafted pop song about romantic paranoia, featuring a catchy melody and relatable lyrics about jealousy and doubt. Elvis recorded his version in March 1962 at RCA Studio B in Nashville, during the same sessions that produced She's Not You. His rendition is smooth and compelling, capturing the nervous energy of the lyrics. The arrangement features prominent backing vocals from the Jordanaires, a walking bass line, and Floyd Kramer's signature slip note piano style. It had all the ingredients of a potential smash hit. However, RCA Victor Records chose not to release Elvis's Suspicion as a single at the time. Instead, it was included as an album track on the Potluck LP, released in June 1962. Potluck performed reasonably well, but album tracks rarely got the exposure of singles in that era. And there the story might have ended, with Suspicion being just another solid Elvis album cut. But then came Terry Stafford. Stafford was a young singer from Texas who recorded his own version of Suspicion in 1964. His arrangement was remarkably similar to Elvis's. So similar, in fact, that many listeners initially thought it was Elvis singing under a pseudonym. Stafford's vocal timbre even bore a resemblance to Presley's. Crucially, Stafford's version was released as a single by Crusader Records. It started climbing the charts rapidly in early 1964. Seeing the song's potential explode with another artist, RCA belatedly decided to release Elvis's 2-year-old recording as a single to compete. This led to a bizarre situation in April 1964, where both Elvis Presley's and Terry Stafford's versions of Suspicion were simultaneously climbing the Billboard Hot 100 chart. For a brief period, it looked like Elvis might reclaim the hit. However, Stafford's version had built more momentum. It ultimately peaked at number 3 on the chart, becoming a massive hit and defining Stafford's career. Elvis's version stalled, peaking at number 31. What could have been a major chart topper for Elvis in 1962, or even a competitive hit in 1964, ended up being overshadowed by a near sound-alike recording. Why did RCA initially hold back Elvis's version? Perhaps they felt other tracks from the sessions were stronger, single choices. She's Not You was a number 5 hit. Perhaps they simply misjudged the song's potential. Whatever the reason, the delay allowed another artist to swoop in and score the definitive hit version. Listening to Elvis's Suspicion today, it sounds like a classic Presley single that never was. It has the melody, the performance, and the star power. It just fell victim to unfortunate timing and record company strategy. It remains a fascinating what if in Elvis's career, the hit that got away, stolen by a shadow. It's a fantastic pop recording that deserved wider recognition under Elvis's name, but serves as a stark example of how the music business doesn't always align with artistic merit or star power. Number 2. Elvis tells a heartbreaking story in this driving, rain-soaked anthem. By late 1969 and early 1970, Elvis was firmly re-established as a contemporary music force. His Memphis sessions had yielded critical acclaim and chart success, and his return to live performing in Las Vegas was triumphant. He needed strong material to maintain this momentum, songs that combined commercial appeal with the artistic depth he was now emanating. One such song was Kentucky Rain. This track stands out for its compelling narrative, driving rhythm, and Elvis's emotionally charged vocal performance. The song was co-written by Eddie Rabbitt and Dick Herd. Rabbitt, who would later become a major country and crossover star himself in the late 70s and 80s, with hits like I Love a Rainy Night and Drivin' My Life Away, was just starting his songwriting career. Getting a song recorded by Elvis was a massive break. Kentucky Rain tells a vivid story. The narrator is desperately searching for a woman who left him, walking and hitchhiking through the cold Kentucky rain, following clues, driven by a need to find her and understand why she ran off. The lyrics paint clear pictures. 7 lonely days and a dozen towns ago, I reached out one night and you were gone. And, walkin' with the rain and the wind that blows, trying to find the love that I lost. Elvis completely sells the desperation and urgency of the search. His vocal is powerful and pleading, perfectly conveying the character's exhaustion and heartbreak. He sounds genuinely frantic during the bridge as he describes getting a ride from a truck driver who tells him he recently saw the woman the narrator is searching for. The musical arrangement is key to the song's impact. It features a prominent, almost relentless piano part played by Ronnie Tutt, who is also Elvis's dynamic live drummer. Tutt's piano drives the song forward, mimicking the falling rain and the narrator's determined pace. The production builds intensity, with strings and horns, swelling underneath Elvis's increasingly desperate vocals. Recorded in Memphis at American Sound Studio during follow-up sessions in February 1969, though sometimes mistakenly attributed to the earlier January sessions, the song captured the same soulful energy as the From Elvis and Memphis material. Released as a single in January 1970, Kentucky Rain was a significant hit, reaching number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 and doing even better on the adult contemporary and country charts. So why consider it underrated? While it was a top 20 hit, it often gets lost in discussions of his truly iconic smashes from the era like Suspicious Minds or Burning Love. It doesn't always get the same level of recurrent radio play, and newer generations might not be familiar with it. Furthermore, it represents a peak in Elvis's ability as a musical storyteller, fully embodying a character and a narrative within a 3.5-minute pop song. It blended country storytelling with a soulful rock-infused arrangement, proving the unique musical fusion Elvis perfected during this period. The collaboration with a future star like Eddie Rabbitt adds another layer of interest. It's a song that demonstrates Elvis wasn't just relying on charisma. He was selecting strong material and delivering performances filled with genuine emotion and technical skill. Kentucky Rain is more than just a hit. It's a mini-movie set to music, delivered by a master interpreter at the height of his revitalized powers. Number 1. Elvis got downright dangerous on this gritty blues number. You nor E&D to hear. The 1969 sessions at American Sound Studio in Memphis were jive for Elvis, yielding sophisticated soul, poignant ballads, and socially aware hits. But they also produced moments of raw, almost primal energy, tracks where Elvis tapped into a bluesy, menacing intensity that hadn't been heard since his earliest Sun Studio days. Perhaps the most potent example of this is Power of My Love. This song is pure, unadulterated, swampy blues rock, delivered with a swagger and intensity that feels almost dangerous. Written by the team of Bill Giant, Bernie Baum, and Florence Kay, the same writers who penned the psychedelic oddity Edge of Reality, Power of My Love showed they could also deliver gritty, down-to-earth blues. The song is built around a heavy, infectious groove laid down by the Memphis Boys. The bass line is thick and repetitive, the drums are solid and driving, and Reggie Young's guitar work is stinging and blues-infused. Bobby Emmons' organ swirls underneath, adding a layer of murky atmosphere. It's the sound of a band locked in, creating a hypnotic, powerful rhythm. But it's Elvis's vocal that elevates the track to another level. He doesn't just sing the lyrics, he embodies them. The song is a declaration of obsessive love, bordering on possessive, and Elvis delivers it with a raw, bluesy growl. Lines like, "Use the power of my love to draw you to my side," "Use the power of my love, got nowhere to hide," sound less like romantic pleading and more like a hypnotic command. There's a confidence, an almost intimidating energy in his voice. He uses slides, growls, and shouts, pushing his voice into gritty blues territory. It's a performance that feels spontaneous and unrestrained, capturing the electrifying atmosphere of those Memphis sessions. Like Any Day Now and Long Black Limousine, Power of My Love was included on the Landmark from Elvis in Memphis album, but was not released as a single. It became a deep cut, beloved by connoisseurs of the album, but largely unknown to the wider audience, familiar only with the radio hits. This is perhaps understandable. The track's raw energy and slightly menacing tone might have been considered too intense for mainstream pop radio in 1969. It lacked the immediate melodic hooks of Suspicious Minds, or the topical relevance of In the Ghetto. Yet, Power of My Love is arguably one of the most authentic and compelling performances on the entire album. It showcases a side of Elvis often obscured by his pop star image, the bluesman, capable of delivering gritty, emotionally raw performances. It's a reminder of his roots in the blues and R&B music he grew up listening to in Memphis. The track captures the potent chemistry between Elvis and the Memphis Boys musicians who pushed him out of his comfort zone and helped him reconnect with a more visceral style of music making. Listening to Power of My Love today is a jolt. It's a powerful, hypnotic track that reveals the depth and range Elvis possessed during this critical comeback period. It's not just underrated, it's essential listening for anyone wanting to understand the full scope of his artistry beyond the chart statistics. It's Elvis, unfiltered, unleashing a raw blues power that still sounds electrifying decades later.